And Lakesh and Veritas, welcome everyone to this Clubhouse event. Your energy, your health, be responsible with empowering solutions. I would like to start by raising the vibration of the space we're in now by calling for the highest possible vibration and calling for the truth to come forward into our discussion so that we may see the truth in all that we see, so that we may hear the truth in all that we hear, so that we may speak the truth in all that we say. Shall we all be in that frequency of truth, and shall we have nothing but the truth? Shall we call for the power of divine feminine to bring balance back into our world, showing us the way through honor, respect, and gratitude? Shall we call for the power of divine feminine to bring balance back into our world, showing us the way through honor, respect, and gratitude? Shall we call for the power of divine feminine to bring balance back into our world, showing us the way through honor, respect, and gratitude? Shall we call for the highest possible vibration? Shall we call for the highest possible vibration? Shall we call for the highest possible vibration? I now ask for everyone to take a sip of water and ask for the water to hydrate our brain and body. Water is a medium that holds memory and will assist in the flow of information that we share together here on. Now, shall we take a deep breath in, bringing in peace, and releasing and exhaling and letting everything else out? Take another deep breath in, bringing joy and gratitude, and exhale out, releasing all that is out, releasing all out. And take another deep breath in, bringing life into our bodies, and exhale, releasing out all that does not serve us. And Lakesh and Veritas, everyone, I call for the oneness and truth of the information shared by each and every one of us on this call, calling in that frequency of truth, all that is truth, with honor, respect, and gratitude to you all. And for those who are unfamiliar with the term, the greeting En Lakesh is the Mayan greeting for oneness, signifying unity, where everything and everyone is interconnected. It is the idea of community where we can share with one another our ideas, goals, and aspirations. And veritas is the Latin word for truth, so that we see the truth in all things. So therefore, En Lakesh and Veritas is that declaration of oneness and truth in which we are clearing our spaces, the space we're in now, so that we may be able to bring forth truthful, elevated, enlightening discussion this evening, clearing away those ill thoughts that we tend to pick up and carry from our everyday life experiences. Our words have power, so it is important that we use our words carefully, using words of upliftment, encouragement, and enlightenment. And by doing so, as a collective, will help us to transform our spaces and places into higher frequencies that will result in better experiences in our lives and assist in raising the vibration of those who we interact and meet with. So, En Lakesh and Veritas, honor, respect to you all. Before we begin, again, I'd like for us to hold our water in our hands, and with the intention in mind, send in the frequency of En Lakesh into our water, and then take a sip of the water, thereby assisting through the signaling and incorporating that elevated frequency of En Lakesh into ourselves and our bodies, as we are made of 70% water. Using this technique will assist in the ease and flow of the information shared this evening. All right, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone. So this evening, I thought we should start this new year with a clean slate, but I thought about it, and before we start, we have to actually clear out our old memories, the old thoughts, the old behaviors that don't seem to work for us anymore. And I thought that, recognizing what these are is the first step towards making positive shifts in our lives. So last year, which is only a few weeks ago, we reviewed the statements from Responsibly. Thank you. I love you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. We shared our thoughts regarding gratitude stemming from the statement thank you as part of the responsibility of Ho'oponopono. Then we moved to I love you. Love, our connection with all things, all life, our divine selves. So today I thought it would be appropriate that we discuss the statement, please forgive me. It is the third statement in the mantra. So before we can call in the new, we must clear away the old. It's part of the reset and the healing so that we can then move forward unencumbered. Does anybody have anything to share about that? I thought, it's a new year, new beginnings, new opportunities. So I'd like to share an example. This is how I view it. You take off dirty, smelly clothes and you take a nice, wonderful bath, washing away the dirt, smelling clean, smelling good. But then you put those dirty, smelly clothes back on before cleaning them. And you are now, still dirty and still smelly. Maybe not as much, but nonetheless, you're still dirty and smelly. So those smelly clothes I view as stagnant, low-level energy that was never cleared away and it lingers. And you just basically brought it back to yourself. And it's kind of like putting a Band-Aid, an old Band-Aid on a wound that was cleaned and treated after removing that Band-Aid, but then putting that old Band-Aid back on and reinfecting the old, dirty, infected wound, reinfecting it. And therefore, the wound cannot heal because you don't get to the root cause. So the moral of the story is that to be able to clear those old thoughts and beliefs and emotions in order to bring in the new, you need that room, to bring in those higher desirable frequencies to come through. I believe it's the first step in acknowledgement and forgiveness, and forgiving is the first step. Forgiving others, forgiving self first and foremost. Does anybody have any comments? Anything to add? Has anybody seen the movie Elvis? I thought it was a really good movie, and it was an example of where he had the opportunity to clear out his problems that existed with a foundation based on the foundation of his businesses. It was just a faulty foundation. And he had the opportunity to free from it, but he had to let go and release everything. I'm gonna just allow you to see the movie for yourself, but it was a good movie. But another movie that was similar to that was Tina Turner's movie, and that was out a while, so I can tell you the ending. She let go and released and left everything. She let go and moved on, and look where it got her. She achieved greater fame and abundance by just letting go and starting over. So the moral, it's just let go, be like a child and accept and move on, because then it allows the universe to provide you with whatever that's there that's greater. Releasing and letting go those old memories and thoughts that can be challenging at times and that result in like loop patterns of thought and behavior. That's what causes the suffering in us. Well, it would cause the suffering in me anyway. And I've constantly working on myself and found that that's what helps to relieve.
In Locution Veritas with honor, respect, and gratitude, this is Tiffany. Are you able to hear me? I stepped into a different room.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay.
Perfect. I just wanted to, there's a mantra on one of the Call for Truth cards, and I can't think of the exact verbiage, but it has to do with opening your hands and not clenching your fists and allowing everything to just flow. I'm totally
Hmm.
botching the details of it, but I recently, with the coming of 2023, did that. I energetically and physically and called for more sovereignty in everything in life. And with ease and grace, things just started to flow. Like we were fermenting everything. Like we were fermenting garlic and then lemons and then making fire cider and then getting ready to ferment turmeric. And it was just something that my whole family wanted to partake in and do every single day. And then we started to grow not just one pallet of microgreens, but 3 pallets of microgreens and sprouts. And this just kind of started to unfold as we loosened our grip on everything and called for more sovereignty. But then, interestingly enough, as all things I find in my life, that things started to happen that I didn't know were connected to sovereignty that I was calling for. And we started to have a leak in the kitchen that we had to trace the water to. And we know that's very much water is connected to thought forms and things that have to be
Hmm.
released. And
Hmm.
all of these thought forms started to be released that my husband and I were holding on to that I didn't realize we were holding on to. And the more we would release things and talk about things, the more water would leak and flow. Like we'd wake up and something new was leaking. And we're like, we just fixed the leak. We just figured it out. How is something leaking more? And it was so interesting. And it allowed us to have a completely new experience with something that could have been very frustrating. And in the past, we would probably have gotten very frustrated about 1 leak and then 2 and then 3. And we just kind of came together as a family. And even, Jade at 5 years old was like, I'm really interested. I want to see where this is coming from. When you pull that away, what happens and where does it go? And it just allowed, we were stepping into sovereignty by having to, rather than calling someone to come in and fix all of it. We just investigated every little detail and used logic and tried to come up with the best solutions and fixed one and then figured out how to fix the other. And when we would get frustrated, instead of allowing it to kind of boil over as it would in the past in our family, we just walked away and went to the beach. And literally were like, I think we need to take a beach break. And we would drive down to the beach and we'd breathe in the salt air. Then we'd come back. And it's been a completely new experience in 2023 once I called for it. And sovereignty is coming in so many different ways. I don't know what you just said that made me think of all of that, but I just felt compelled to share it because I'm very thankful for the ways that it's showing up and for the ways that we're responding to it. And we now know a lot more about how to fix a dishwasher or how to trace an air gap pipe. But, it's been really interesting.
Well, I view it as, please forgive. You're forgiving yourself. Is the
Right.
act of
Oh,
forgiveness
that's
is
where
when
it
you're
started.
releasing.
The
Yeah.
whole thing started with me putting part of a lemon that I was fermenting down the garbage disposal because I've never done that before, but all of a sudden it popped into my head like, "Oh, it'll freshen the garbage disposal. Just do it." And I did it, and then one thing happened after another, and up until about a half an hour ago, I was chastising myself, even though we were learning all of these things. I was like, gosh, if I would have just not put that lemon down the drain. But a
Mm.
half an hour ago, I looked at my lemon tree and said, thank you for teaching me all of these lessons. And I forgave myself for all of the battering I did because of it to myself, because we needed to have this experience as a family and to feel our sovereignty.
Yeah.
And so the lemon helped us step into that beauty.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that because it's about letting go,
Yes.
forgiving yourself, letting go, and when that does flow, then the solutions come. I think isn't that that's one of the maxims, well, actually it's fear. Was it fear if when solutions don't show up and then they show up without fear?
And
Diane,
I
you
had to
tell me
clear
what
that today too, and it worked very well.
And I do know I can't find the one right now for the clenching of the hands. Diane, are you available to you I don't know if you can hear, you can look that up for us. But yeah, I mean, we tend to be so hard on ourselves, and that's like one thing that, I was reviewing the nest, my nest scan, and ER something as a 20 something is rectum, which is putting undue pressure on yourself. Is that necessary? It's just a frequency that's burdensome to you, and it's a block and it's distortion. So you free yourself from that, then solutions will come more easily for you. You know. So anybody else have anything to share as we move on? It's just some things to talk about there. Diane, yes, Emma
In
Veritas,
in
honor
Lakesh and
speaking gratitude.
Veritas. I'm sorry. Which card were you looking for me to check for?
The one about the closed hands,
The closed
there's
hands.
no solution. They're open hands. There's solutions that come forward.
If
One,
your
those.
hands are closed, it's a number 8 card, freedom. If your
Mhm.
hands are closed, you will not receive. Let go of whatever you think you have so you can receive more.
Yes, thank you.
And my number, my birth number, and the number of the house I live in is an 8. Isn't that
Yeah,
fascinating?
yeah,
Yes.
yes.
And then
So
the other one about the solution was, yes, you were right about that's a fear card.
oh, it
When
is.
we come from a point of fear, we don't see solutions, but when we come from a point of strength, solutions come forward.
Yes, thank you, thank you. You're the call for truth scholar. Thank you, Diane. And I'll be referring to you, couple, now on, helping me to give some correlate. So,
In Lakesh and Veritas, everyone, honor, respect, and
I
gratitude.
didn't like your prayer task with honor, respect, and gratitude, Stephanie.
So I just wanted to share in my experience what you were saying about forgiving ourselves. I realized that a lot of times, I know for myself that we live in the woulda, shoulda, coulda,
Oh yeah.
and replay. Past experiences and say, I wish I had did this, or I could have did this, or I should have did this. And then that's where we get stuck. And,
Mhm.
those experiences come again and again and again. And we have to let that go.
Yeah.
Just, saying it happened, and what are we going to do about it now? What is the solution? How do we let that go, let that trauma go, let that pattern go, and
Hmm.
just continue to move forward. Um, but that woulda, shoulda, coulda is something that I've noticed in a lot of people that I talk to, and when I bring it forth, they're like, you know what, you're right, but
Hmm.
it's like what there's nothing that you could have. So let's
Right.
do Ho'oponopono and erase all of that negativity that took place during that time, and free ourselves from that, and move forward.
Right. I agree because it's basically a stagnant low level energy that shoulda, woulda, coulda. The other maxim that comes to mind is it's one from a heart, the green, where is acceptance. Be like a child, get over it, and keep moving. And basically look for the right in everything. Constantly explore that. because that's a positive energy force, and that will bring in more positive things to you. So thank you for sharing that story, Stephanie.
Very welcome.
So, identifying what the issue is the one thing you can do, but they're tools that you can utilize to help, to basically help you shift out of those old memories, those old loop patterns and so forth, things that you can do on your own. The one thing that I've been doing for myself is journaling to help. And it's an easy and effective way, easy to start, to identify those mental thoughts and behaviors. I'll think of a thought, I'm like, oh boy, that just popped in. I wrote it down. And what I've done is that I'll then look at multiple days to see, and you'll see a pattern. You will actually see a pattern of what's going on. And I do recommend, if you're doing that, if it's like something that's a low level energetic thought, ask for it to be clear and implant an affirmation, insert an affirmation, and replace it with an affirmation. That helps. I use my bioenergetic scanning, and it helps to identify these imbalances more in a depth form, but it confirms my findings that I have found through journaling, and alert me to issues that are I'm not consciously aware of. But then what happens later on, it then surfaces and I can see it, and it's brought to my attention. So it would be more or less brought to my attention sooner because of the actual scan. And then it also will identify environmental issues, confounders that will contribute to how I'm feeling, functioning through diet or some sort of exposure to environmental substances that could be potentially toxic. Because we're all um, a composite one, where everything is interconnected with us: diet, environment. Anybody else have anything to share what they do, what you necessarily do? Meditations, those help. They'll actually help me bring clarity to help identify issues. And using the sacred wood, for example, helps to intensify the release of what you're trying to remove, and to bring in that desired frequency in for a more effective clearing. Strengthening the chakras, that's something that I've been doing recently with meditations. It'll definitely assist in releasing that stagnant energy, those distortions or blocks, and realigning your energy into a proper flow and balance. And from my experience, I'm telling you, it really, really works. Tiffany, were you?
Yeah, I was. Something that I've started doing on a very regular basis is I take a bunch of the DNA salts, a bunch of different colors, and I put them in a
Mm-hmm.
spray bottle with some water. And I just
Mm-hmm.
shake it, and I keep it with me all the time. And literally, whenever we go anywhere, after we're around any number of people, or after we leave a store, before we come home, I spray it on us, and I can feel the energy shift in the moment. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, salt baths as well, and even just shifting thoughts, and ho'oponopono is a major component in calling for the highest possible vibration, I feel, as well. But that salt spray, it just dissipates so much
Yeah.
so quickly, and I can see an immediate shift in my daughter as well. And so I've been telling my friends, because they're like, oh, when my kids go over to my parents' house, I'm like, you have to douse them. I remember Lota saying this to me. She was like, no kid comes into my house without a salt spray all over them, every direction, every which way, all the time. And it really works.
It
So,
does.
yeah.
I agree. I'd use that too. I haven't done that in a while, but definite. Spray your room, spray, your space, and it's easy. You have a little spray in your pocket. I just have it with the black lava, DNA salt, and water. Because that then kind of dissipates that low level energy. Yeah, well, thank you for reminding me about that. I have that right here on my mantle.
Absolutely. And I guess that the black, it's so thin that that's really helpful and all you really need. I don't want to take any chances. We're around a lot of different things. I went full chakra all the way color.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll have like two just separate bottles, one to just get rid of that stagnant energy, and another one to work those chakras in the space. Thank you for that. Another thing that you can use are the sacred woods. The aroma works well. It stimulates your olfactory nerve, which then neurologically connects to our brains. It's part of the brain. And then it will trigger a memory that generates an emotion, a feeling that's coming from the heart. And then what happens? The heart then sends signals, a frequency to the rest of the body. And then this signal is then propagated through our blood, fluid, water, also with a propagation and flow into your neurologic network of your nerves. All science. These are tools that everyone can do on their own, and they truly work. It makes you feel better. Anybody else have any tools they want to share? Before we leave, I have to go talk about more intense work, to move and shift your energy, and that's through the energetic services that are available. The soul clearing, soul translation work to clear your internal and immediate overlaying energy field, and to address the myths. It is clearing the energetic field at the subatomic level, the quantum level, not something that's woo woo, it's real. This is a science that is now being described more and more in the literature. And those myths that we were taught based on ignorance from the past is finally starting to be broken down and dismantled. They're found to be untrue, unfounded. We talked about the myths with regards to energy. You know, Energy medicine, energy is the way of the future. It's coming. It's coming. And then there's also property clearing, clearing the energy in your surrounding environment that also affects you because we're part of the environment. Anybody have anything more to add regarding this? All right. Well, I want to remind everyone we have our next Divine Nation workshop that's scheduled this coming Friday, the 6th at 8 p.m., working with the Call for Truth Divination cards, the companion for the Call for Truth publication written by Lota Rasul. The workshop completely free and a lot of fun. And then we also have our ongoing whole responsibility meditation sessions scheduled on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays of every week at regular times. You can find it on our websites. Website enlikestudio1.com, enlikestudio2.com, and enlikestudio4.com. It's a great way to shift and raise and shift your energy so that it works for you, in your favor, supporting you. So I encourage you to join the sessions. And then this coming Sunday on the 8th, we'll be meeting again for our second time around for our new Divine Feminine Clubhouse, scheduled at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So look out for the notifications and the link to access this Clubhouse event. Does anybody have any other statements to share? Happy New Year. Make this a great year for you. You are in control of your destiny. It's up to you. So thank you everyone for joining and participating. And I look forward to seeing you next week on our next Clubhouse. Remember, knowledge is power, and taking action from this knowledge is true power. With honor, respect, and gratitude, and Lakesh and Veritas.
And
And
like
And
I
like
said,
I
Lakesh
said,
and
Veritas,
Veritas,
with
honor,
Veritas,
honor,
respect, and
respect, and
gratitude.
our
gratitude.
respect and gratitude.